You say that aging is not a disease. What exactly is the entire longevity industry trying to fix here?
They are not trying to fix anything. They are trying to sell products.
Orbie the Grey, David Sinclair, Bryan Johnson, they all want to live forever. In the future, is there any way that we won't die, maybe?
Yes, by mathematical formulation, if I can add 1 day every day to my life, I will live forever. We don't know when is that 1 day. And then next step is death.
How much closer are we to actually understanding what aging is?
We understand aging very well. Aging is no longer an unresolved problem in biology.
What should people do to be healthier and live longer?
Human beings have already doubled up from essential lifespan in the last 150 years. And somebody had lived 3 times. There was no magic pill. It came basically through.
Suresh, you've spent more than 40 years studying the biology of aging, and it is an absolute pleasure having you on as a guest today. I've had the chance to talk to you many times, and I'm very, very happy to finally be sharing on our podcast your wisdom and all of the knowledge you have accumulated, all of the things you have investigated. And so many of the discussions or conversations we've had were around aging. And interestingly, you say that aging is not a disease. It's not caused per se by anything specifically, and there's no gene to target. So my question that I would like to open with is, what exactly is the entire anti-aging longevity industry trying to fix here?
They are not trying to fix anything. They are trying to sell products. So don't worry about that. So do you want to talk about the genes for aging already? Okay, that's the central theme in the whole aging research. Because, of course, we expect that biology, because in biology, everything works by genes. That's where the information is. And that information has to be transcribed and translated. So proteins do all the jobs. And genes must be doing everything else. But do they do anything for aging? Do they make us old? Has evolution spent time and energy in making genes with a purpose to make me old and eventually kill me? That is where the big question starts. And my own research and the research of a lot of other people and thinkers and evolutionary biologists, we come to the conclusion that there is no evolution of aging. Evolution of life has happened. Evolution has worked hard on survival, not on death. Even when we see in complex biological systems some death mechanisms like programmed cell death, apoptosis, those are part and parcel of survival mechanism. Evolution never needed mechanisms to kill, and it never created, and it never could create. That's why there are no gerontogenes. Now, gerontogenes was the term I coined in 1985 and published about it. And since then, I spent all my life trying to prove that gerontogenes don't exist, and they cannot exist. It doesn't mean that genes are not there. Genes are there for life, for living. Evolution has not made any program at any stage to kill the individual.
That's already extremely interesting. But before we dive any deeper than we already did, I want to give the listeners a bit of a background for you as well. So you did your PhD under Robin Holliday, testing pretty much the ever theory of cellular aging. And you've run the Laboratory of Cellular Aging at Aarhus in Denmark since 1984, I think.
Yep.
You founded a journal, Biogerontology, and edited for the last years and decades even.
And continuing.
Yeah. And you've published more paper than I can count. So my question is, when you look at the field, you've pretty much, and I think we can say this, you've given your life to. In a short, honest answer, how much closer are we to actually understanding what aging is than when you started years back?
We understand aging very well. I don't know why people keep on saying we don't understand aging. Actually, if you look into the published literature around 2002 or 3, both Robin Holliday, my mentor, and the father of modern biogerontology, Len Hayflick, they published very similarly titled papers in 2 of my books. And they say aging is no longer an unresolved problem in biology. And that was challenging 1950s statement of Peter Medawar that aging was the the final unresolved problem. So they were telling it, look, we understand what aging is. We understand why it happens, why evolution allows it to happen. There is everything very well understood. And the phenotype of aging, that is what, when I did my PhD, etc., we were still describing phenotype of aging, that when we are in the aging phase of life, what are the things happening? And those are also almost everything is very well known now. There may be some little I's need to have a dot there and T needs to be there, but it has created a general picture, and that picture is not going to change much. If the picture is that of the elephant, it is not going to become a rose flower. That was the conclusion of Len Hayflick and Robin Holliday. And people keep on saying, we don't understand it, because they don't know what to do with it and why to do with it. So maybe that's the kind of things we can talk. So we can talk about what do we understand. I can definitely answer your questions if you ask me that kind of question. So we do understand aging, why it happens, and what happens during aging. And most likely how it happens, what is the cause.
Yeah, let's dive into that.
Which one?
Let's start with what happens during aging.
Oh, well, how many body organs and tissues we have, how much time we have. If you want to say, okay, what happens with the brain? I can start telling you. At every level, we have the description. Yeah, basically from the full body level to organ level to tissue level to biochemistry to molecular biology. Yeah, if we go all the way down into metabolism and in biochemistry, if there are say 100,000 enzymes, we know almost everything. The 30,000 enzymes lose activity with age, 30,000 increase activity with age, 30,000 doesn't happen to anything. Same thing about RNA. If there are 200,000 RNAs, so that kind of description will not be very interesting to talk. In my normal biogerontology course, I have to take about 8 or 10 lectures and draw the graphs, what goes up and down and this. Thing is, what do we learn from them? So almost everything. So if you want a specific question, hey, Suresh, what happened to that 8696 enzyme? I will have to look into the database and tell you, that increases in this animal, but not in that animal and blah, blah, blah. That's not very interesting for me anymore because those data are there. You can ask a specific question for any cell type, any organ, many species, right from bacteria to yeast to nematodes to Drosophila to rats, mice, dog. It's very well known.
I mean, that's definitely quite the answer. I want to go back to what you said in the beginning. You know Andrea Meyer, for example, quite well. And she is often saying that aging is a disease. You are saying aging is not a disease, even though we understand that it's the common cause of nearly every age-related disease. As you go older, your chance of getting any serious age-related disease, such as cancer or cardiovascular diseases, heart attack, stroke, they increase by X folds when you go older. So I'm just wondering, why is it that you say that aging itself is not a disease?
Well, there are 2-3 reasons, both philosophical and scientific. And why Andrea sometimes says it's a disease and sometimes says it's not a disease, that depends upon whom she's talking with. And I really admire her. Actually, I knew her when she was just starting her PhD. So we have known each other for a long time. Now, the question about disease and aging, first of all, there are certain simple answers to that. That disease, as far as we normally consider in our lives, disease is always a minority issue. There is no situation in biology which can happen to every individual and can be labeled as a disease. Yeah, first of all, disease can happen to 10%, 15%, 50%. A lot of people, generally, we don't take that position where something happens to everything, everybody, 100% is not called disease. That's one thing. The second part of the thing is disease, in theory at least, is treatable to a non-disease state. So, and the question of aging and old age raises that question very tremendously, that if it's a treatable to which stage in biology of life, in the life cycle. Yeah, our life has various stages of biology, comes in stages from original fertilization to embryogenesis to growth, development, maturation, reproduction. And at some stage in life, we decide to tell it, now is aging started. And when do we do that actually? If you have read my papers, you might remember that some of us, we define the start of aging after answering the question, why do we live? What for? And evolutionary biology gives us the answer. All living systems, the only purpose of life for any biological system, including Homo sapiens, which we are, is primarily to continue to live, either whatever in this body or by passing on the life to the next generation. This is a depressing answer for human beings, because we think, oh, as a Homo sapien, so my purpose of life is the same like any insect, like worm and a rat and a cat and a dog. Yes, unfortunately, yes. As a Homo sapien, our purpose, biological purpose, as told by Saint Darwin, is continuation of generations. In our species, something else has happened. We are all born as Homo sapiens, but at some stage, we are supposed to become human beings. What makes us human beings? For me, that has always been my lifelong fascination. What makes me human being? Is it my biology? Is it my sociology? Is it my psychology? What is it? What makes me human being? And that's where these questions become very difficult to handle. Now, because we are not willing to, because the purpose of life of a human being is the same, like of Drosophila melanogaster. Biologists will say yes, but a human will get very upset about it. So, how long should we live? That's the question evolution had to face. How long any species should live to be able to go through these stages of life? Yeah, growth, maturation, development, and reproduction. And many years ago, I also coined another term for that let's call it essential lifespan. What is essentially needed? My other friends in America, like Olszewski and Bruce Carnes, they at the same time introduced a term called the warranty period. What is the warranty period for a species before which it should not have too many deaths or other things happening, otherwise it will disappear? So I was calling essential lifespan, they were calling warranty period, and then in modern terms, we can even call this period as a best before date. Yeah, like we put on the product. What is the best before? Best before or essential lifespan for our species? Well, okay, first I go to Drosophila. For Drosophila in nature is around 7 to 10 days maximum. That's when it grows up and does the. Yes, when I bring Drosophila in the laboratory, it can live for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Essential lifespan for the species of rats and mice is around 1 year in nature, but in the laboratory, they can live 2-3 years. Essential lifespan of Homo sapiens by evolution is around 45 years. But in the laboratory, in a highly protected societies, one of us has lived 122 years. Yeah, and there are still some countries in the world where average life expectancy is below 50, 46, 47. And historically, thousands of years, human beings never became old. Very rare phenomena happening. Yeah. So aging occurs if we live beyond essential lifespan. That's where we put the term aging. Aging does not start from birth, although I can say my grandson is 6 years old and my granddaughter is 10 years old. We all know that old is different than when we talk about old. So this is a very important distinction for me, at least. Biology, where evolution has spent millions of years or almost 4 billion years to try out every combination according to the history of that species so that it can continue. Evolution works on what works. It does not go better than that. Now the question is that after essential, does it need genes to kill it? And that's where this distinction comes. No. In evolution, the major question throughout these 4 billion years has been how to survive enough. The death is so dominant everywhere that problem has been how to survive And that is why every organism gives birth to, that's what made Darwinian theory, that we could see that the number of children or the offspring born is hundreds of times more than actually which will ever survive and continue. Yeah, that is what the basis of Charles Darwin's observation of why. And then there is variety. So death of an individual or a group or a species was never an issue for evolution. Evolution has worked really, really hard in making complex and complicated systems, of course, gene-based systems for survival. And that kind of genes, we still don't know how many out of our 23,456 genes, how many genes are essential for our survival, we have no idea. Yeah, but they are together. About 25 years ago, the yeast people were David Sinclair and his mentor and other they were working on. They coined the term longevity assurance genes. Yeah, those are well-established terms. At the same time, I had coined the term vita genes, that's the life genes, but that didn't catch up. But longevity assurance genes, those are the genes evolution has worked hard on that. Geronto genes, it hasn't. Geronto genes can only be perhaps virtual. That is what my one paper in 1995, which I then revised the 85 paper, that geronto, if we want to use the term geronto genes, genes for aging, they can at best be virtual, because when you find a potential gene which is actually doing something which you want to explain in terms of either damage or dysfunction or physiology or even lifespan, you will find that that is actually a normal gene which has very other important factor. And some of the earliest geronto genes found were what? Insulin-like growth factor. You know? It's the same story like the oncogenes. Are there genes from evolution's point of view which are put in our genome to cause cancer? What do you think? Not a single gene which is there with a purpose to cause cancer. There are hundreds of genes to suppress cancer, to avoid cancer. And then things go wrong in those genes. We will talk why they go wrong. Yeah, and then that control mechanism goes away and cancer emerges. There is not even a single real oncogene. I coined the word gerontogenes just at that time in 1985 to match oncogenes. That, oh, these cancer people who are so intelligent, they have a gene term. We don't have a gene term. It's now after 30 years, actually just last year, Andre Maya, together with her great friend Guido Croma, they have published an article with journal about gerosuppressor, geropromoters. They call these things. That is the further extension of the term of virtual gerontogenes, because I couldn't think in those big terms. But I am so happy that after 30 years, somebody is following basically the same logic. They may not refer to the term gerontogene. They may not refer to my papers even, but I am happy from intellectual point of view. They have come out with a list of gerosuppressors, geroprotectors, gero this, gero that. Fantastic. So there are no genes to cause aging. There are genes to keep us alive, but we still age and we will die. And then you can ask why. Then we will go into that direction.
Let's go into the why, but let's maybe look at one other thing first, and that is the whole longevity sector and movement seems to be wanting to classify things and getting some sort of checklists to tackle, because people are obviously very interested in extending their life way beyond their essential lifespan, so way beyond 45. And it seems to be that people want to have a checklist. And then many things get cited often, such as the 12 hallmarks of aging, which include mitochondrial dysfunction, dysbiosis, chronic inflammation, and so on and so forth. How do you view these concepts? Do you think they might be a useful checklist to go further and trying to optimize each one? Or would you say that that takes a little bit of a reductionist approach?
Yeah, very important question. But the thing is, human beings have already doubled up from essential lifespan in the last 150 years. Yeah, average lifespan of most of the economically developed countries is 80 plus, and somebody had lived 3 times. So we have already extended the lifespan, and we know the main reasons why that lifespan at the population levels got extended. There was no magic pill. It came basically through hygiene, through better availability of food, to better health care. Yeah, that is why there is so much inequality in the world still. Millions of people die due to dirty water. Yeah, in Africa, in India. India, yes, such a developed country, average lifespan is still around 70. Is it due to our genetics? No. This is all sociology. This is our social sciences. So human beings have always challenged the limit and doubled it up so far. Can we triple it up or make it eternal? That brings me to a very interesting thing. That what is the difference between Homo sapien and human being? One of the things which makes us human beings is perhaps ours is the only species which never totally surrenders to the power of nature. We have always questioned nature and gone beyond it. That is not only the characteristic of being a human being, that is the responsibility of being a human being. We are not at the mercy of whatever nature does to us. Yes, we have exploited the nature, we have fucked it up a lot, yeah, but that also we will set it right also. What makes me human beings is that I am not at the mercy of some supernatural or natural forces. I can learn, I can manipulate, I can go beyond it. We have already gone double than that. Now the thing is how long we want to go. Because one of the reasons for going too long is basically this greatest fear. Because everybody knows that the stage after old age, whatever the length of that, is death. And it's very frightening, man. Death is a very frightening situation. That's why all cultures had to create stories to deal with the fear of death. In Indian philosophy, we have the story, okay, body will die, but the soul will continue, and on and on and on. Christianity had to create its own story of resurrection sometime else. Every culture has beautiful stories. Actually, long time ago in biogerontology, my journal, Robin Holiday, my PhD supervisor, wrote an article, Aging and the Origin of Religion. Because if you tell young people, be nice, do this thing, do that thing, you will live long enough. And when they live long enough, it was horrible life, old age. How do you compensate for that? How do you take care of it? And then next step is death. That's where religion took over. That's why it's very important to study a lot of mythology, a lot of these cultural stories. They are beautiful. But they are like a consolation, temporary consolation against a death. The problem, and that is exactly the same reason now. We are all terrified of death. I am terrified of death because I know one day I will die, but I don't know when. I know you are going to die one day, but I can't tell you when. All the people you and I love, they are going to die. My only compensation here in my joking way of talking is all the people I hate, they are also going to die.
That's a great point.
It is the fear of death which is pushing people, especially the present generation, where is the most of the activity has happened in the last 10, 15 years, where so much wealth has come into the hands of very young people, very intelligent, very young, and they are shit scared of death.
Let's talk about them maybe. Like Orbie the Grey, David Sinclair, Bryan Johnson, they all build around this concept of longevity escape velocity. They want to live forever. When 1 year passes, they want to have scientific advancements that made it so that they get 1 year ahead. So this will run forever then, basically. This is the theory in a nutshell. What do you think about this? What do you think about longevity escape velocity? In the future, is there any way that we won't die, maybe?
Well, I don't know how far in the future. These ideas which were originally put forward by Aubrey when he emerged on the scene and coming from a computer background, he was talking in those terms. He has modified his own ideas to more rational, more sensible point of view. But that attracted the notion. Yes, by mathematical formulation, if I can add 1 day every day to my life, I will live forever. I don't even need to add many. So that's why in my normal talks, sometime in debates with Aubrey in public, when he says we will live 2,000 years, I say we are immortal. So we are all immortal, basically, like we explained, because there are no death genes, there are no geronto genes. But we die 1 day before immortality. Think about it. I'm using the time unit 1 day. You can basically call it 1 breath. There's a beautiful book called When Breath Becomes Air. is Mr. Palani, a a neurosurgeon who got cancer, and he wrote book in his last 9 months. So basically, and also like in Indian philosophy, is very well described by many scholars. The life is a matter of one breath. So can we extend it? Yes, we can extend it. Can we become immortal? We are immortal. But can we take care of that one day? We don't know when is that one day. I can hear myself is becoming more philosophic than your scientific one, but this is what gives me certain understanding of the whole process of aging and what can and cannot be done, or what should and shouldn't be done. So forget about the chronological number, whether it's hundreds or thousands or immortality. It is meaningless, actually. And that is why socially all this aging intervention research has not been getting a lot of support, because we have been trying to sell numbers to people, and public has been getting frightened about it. When you ask people in public, like, who wants to live 120, 200, nobody ever raises their hand, except for some of these very rich guy who, Bryan Johnson. Just look at his own data. What is he telling? Eventually, what is making him enjoy life? That's totally different than his 120 pills and his serum and other thing. Yeah. Now he found a girlfriend. That's where he's talking about. Now he found followers to go around, social interactions, all those numbers. So let us not get stuck into any number. I will not mind living to a very, 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 very large number. I am a great supporter of that. But whether that's going to be possible, let's talk about that.
And so let's dive deeper into that, because I feel like the whole field is, there's very few things in terms of, interventions or things you can do that are really kind of set in stone, or like where there's an amount of quality research backing it up that no one has anything kind of any doubts. I don't think that there are many things out there. So, but many people are trying things out. Like they're trying to figure things out by themselves and be like, okay, despite the uncertainty, I don't want to do nothing. Hence, I want to do whatever I think is the best thing to do given the options I have, right? It seems to be that that's the rationale of most people. And that looks very different whether you have a budget of $20 a month or $2 million a month, right? So we see varying degrees of extreme approaches in all of that sphere. Given everything you've read and seen and investigated, which are a few of the things you would recommend to everyone that give you a better shot at getting to an old age?
Breathe in and breathe out, and repeat it as long as possible. Of course, we need to do everything to live the life we want to live. And that's what we have done throughout human history. That's how we have doubled up the lifespans. There is nothing new magical going to come around. We are all, what is the greatest achievement of this modern tsunami of longevity clinics and longevity medicine and longevity talkers, which I give full credit to them, where there are very serious and highly intellectual people like Andrea Maya, or really scandalous statement maker peoples like my friend Aubrey. But they have done a great job in the last 25 years or 20 years. They have brought the attention of ordinary people, most of the people who are not struggling with their daily life food and survival, that, hey, we are going to live long enough and things don't look very nice if we don't do anything about it. We will have to suffer. We will be having these problems. We will be so many problems, and we need to do so. This awareness towards maintaining health, not reversing aging, that has gone from public mind generally. Not many people talk about reversing aging. When you talk about reversing aging, sociologists have shown in many, many studies, it's generally about 10 years people would like to rewind, because there is always 10 years earlier when I was very good. Nobody wants 20, 30, 40 years rewinding. So the whole change in narrative to a large extent is to get rid of the term anti-aging, because anti-aging has that connotation also, that aging, which is something disease, which have to be stopped, and all anti-aging thinking and intervention is ageism. It is a discrimination about old people. I cannot be anti myself. I'm 71 now. I will become 72 next year. I'm 1 year older. There may or may not be more problems also, but I can't approach my next year of life with a hatred towards myself. Anti-aging, I'm anti myself. No, that is the social aspect. But bringing this awareness that look, we have changed the world so much, we have started living double the lifespan, we have many other pleasures of life, we need to also take care of our body and mind with and without whether pills or lifestyle. This is the great achievement, and that's why I still associate with these kinds of activities. This is a great achievement, bringing people to feel it's important to have health. That's another issue. Why it is important, maybe we'll discuss that also. Why it's important to be healthy. Don't tell me I should be healthy because otherwise, just like I should be nice guy because otherwise I will go to hell. I should be healthy because otherwise I will be having this disease, that disease, which is far away, and that it doesn't work. It works if we can tell what is health and why it is important to be healthy. Ethics haven't worked by creating heaven and hell concepts. You have to be ethical for some other reason. Give a reason. Why should I be healthy? That's what my problem with my child, my son, who is going to be 40 in 2 months' time. When he was born, how to tell him that he should behave nicely with other people, he should not steal the thing from the shop, he should not, without any fear or without any reward, because he will say, why? Well, all children always ask it. So how do you do that? How do you teach ethics without greed or fear? Same thing about health. Why should I be healthy? Because I am doing a lot of things to stay healthy. Things may still go wrong. Are you going to blame me? Because this healthy push is blaming the victim attitude. If you had done this better, you wouldn't reach this stage. Come on. People do every kind of thing. Who wants to really suffer? But they end up suffering. Yes. So we need to do, but why we need to do? That for me is much more important. What for? Are we terrified of death, or are we terrified of disease, or are we just surrendering to the powers of economy who think that old people are a burden on society, and these are the economic burden, that this old man should be just all the time working and working? Why should I keep on working? If we have a highly developed society, which is democratic, which is nice, I have worked, say, 40, 50 years, and society should take care of me if things go wrong. Why to blame me? That if you had done something. It's just like in sociology again. Cancer biology people have understood it. That don't blame the victim. Because people use language with the cancer. Oh, he fought very well fight. For 3 years he fought. And then he died. Who is to blame? He didn't fight well. Is that the meaning of that? So social oncologists have made it very clear to people, don't use that terminology. He fought against cancer. Because he's going to lose. It may add a couple of years here and there. Yeah, that's called the blaming the victim approach. Same thing is about aging. That if we carry on anti-aging or health obsession from medical point of view, then we are blaming the victim instead of giving the person chances, possibilities of living the life he wants to live in all ages, whatever the number of the age. That was actually the theme of this very interesting summit I attended just 3 weeks ago, arranged by Vatican. The Pope wanted people to discuss these things, dignity of old age, how to die in old age, how to live in old age, not to resist old age. Because when do we calling old age? That is again last week. I don't know if you know about this summit. It was Vatican Longevity Summit, second edition, where they invited 2-3 biologists, a Nobel laureate, this Thomas Sudhoff on Alzheimer. There were sociologists, philosophers, artists, and we had 1.5 days of lectures and discussions about dignity of old age. What do we want to do with these longer lifespans and how long we want to carry on? Yeah, but that's a different. So I will not give you the summary of the Vatican summit, but that is the interest of those guys also coming in, looking at the tsunami of anti-aging or longevity medicine. That what are you guys trying to do? That was their question. What are you trying to sell? What for?
So I love your point that you're making, especially of like, why should we be healthier? And we see two reasons mainly in the clinic where we focus on prevention and health span. And that is the first one, the first group actually, is kind of the ones who either themselves had struggles with their health and they don't want to go through such a phase again, or they have seen someone close to them going through a difficult health period, or really a sudden event. So it's kind of that loss, that the fear of losing something, or the desire to win something, which would be the other, which is like, okay, I'm fairly all right now, but I know that if I engage in some healthy behaviors and do things that are good for me, I might have more quality of life, more energy, better sleep, whatever it may be, because I know that I'm not engaging in all of the things I should be engaging, if that were my goal. And so the question I have is, given everything you've seen, what exactly would you recommend both groups actually to engage in or do? I know that you're a big fan of hormesis or hormetic stress. Maybe touching upon that topic, but also other topics. What should people do to be healthier and live longer?
Yeah. Well, that actually again comes to what does health mean to me, yeah, and what does health mean to you, and on which day. But the first thing that is what I gave the compliment to all these scientific achievements, which has made people aware that it's very important to take care of health. And it's not only care of health, it's about everything, which we must. I can start with a very simple, even superficial example, that when I look into the mirror and I don't like something about my face, then I have to do something about it. If there is a wrinkle, okay, there may be Botox. If my lips are thin, I can get them filled up. If my hair are white, the important thing there is, why don't I like that thing on my face? Is that my own feeling, or is it the peer pressure? Is it the advertisement agencies? Is it politics? I must do something about the way I want to look at myself and feel myself. And if I want to, and I gave this example of cosmetics basically, which is the most superficial thing. Everybody knows cosmetics don't make you young, yeah, but they make you feel good about it. And you think you have done something. I love to have my gray hair coming up, but if I hate them, I can easily make them black or whatever other color. Many societies, many politicians, many people do that. There is nothing wrong with that. The reason, for me, the important thing is, why don't I like something about myself? Whether it's just a superficial, or my habits, or my ideas, or my even abilities. So what do I want to do? So everything should be done, but be clear why you are doing it, and what you are doing is it really giving you what you expect? Cosmetics promise you 10 years younger in 10 days? No, they cannot, but they can make you happy for half a day, for an evening. Yeah. Botox can take away your wrinkles if you are not worried about what price you will pay later on the paralysis of the muscles. If you don't like your thin lips, it will give you the fillers if that's what makes you feel good. Take it. No problem with that. But why do you need to take it? That's also very important to understand. That is why I am supportive of all intervention strategies. That's what will come into health when we talk about health. That's what we need to do. Everything is possible, but there is nothing at the moment which I can stand by. In the so-called Geroprotector database run by Megalis, there are 259 compounds which are well researched on different model systems, animal, and some of them on human beings. And none of the scientists, even the most outgoing, scandalous one, will stand by any one of them and say, this is what is going to work on you and your friend and your family and your neighbors and everything. There are lots of ifs and buts for everything, because that is another, the description of aging, because it's so heterogeneous. So far from these 260 compounds, we should have been able to find some formula and live forever. There is none. I cannot, basically, because you have those kind of questions at the later end also. So there are lots of things. Use that if you can afford to use that. It will make you feel good at least. If it doesn't give you any body problems, then, and if you can afford to spend that much money, it keeps the money going, it keeps the industry running, it helps many jobs. Fine, but don't expect that this is the anti-aging, becoming 10 years younger in 10 days. That is just a marketing gimmick. So I will not pick up on one or two or more or anything. Everything is needed. Life, if you are living, you have to do everything to stay alive, if that can make you.
No, I mean, I really love the answer, and I really also love the emphasis on feeling good in your own body, happiness, because those are such important factors also for longevity or whatever you want to name it. I want to go back to the general topic of aging, because you said that there are no genes who pretty much age us. So my question really is, why does it happen anyway? Why do we age? Because we do age.
Yeah, that is where there is a very, very important concept, which is both scientific concept and philosophic concept, which biologists have been ignoring, but the physics people learned it earlier. The concept is basically, in this universe, and most likely in all other parallel universes also, there is no such thing as perfection. There is nothing perfect. Laws of quantum physics don't allow perfection. Laws of entropy don't allow perfection. If we believe in change, there is no, then you admit there is no perfection. Change cannot happen in a perfect thing. If things were perfect, if evolution worked with perfection, we will not be here. Then the very first life form will still be there, because that's perfect. It doesn't change. There will be no mutation. So imperfection is the reality of life at any level. And that is exactly the reason human beings long time ago, few thousand years ago, had to create the notions of perfection. Because those intellectuals, those scholars knew that actually everything is imperfect. And that's very difficult to accept. That's why we need something perfect on which we can trust, which will never change, which will be all the time the same truth. That is the reason for collapse of anything. So biological systems have tried to work on controlling the imperfections within the framework of essential lifespan, according to the life history of the species, which, because all the time, every time, the cause of aging and death is the life itself. The three things which keep me alive are eventually going to kill me. Every time I'm breathing, I am creating a big challenge. It's very well known, the oxidative damage pathways. Every time I eat food, all those related pathways. Every time a biochemical reaction happens, there are lots of errors and accumulations. And this evolution has made fantastic systems, those longevity assurance genes, which are hundreds, and they all interact. And that is why we keep on living. But they cannot be perfect, because after essential lifespan, even evolution cannot afford to put more resources to. It has already put resources that human beings can live at least 45 years, whereas Drosophila can do something in 7 days. And then which kind of repair systems, defense system, they will depend upon the history of the organism. Like if you study DNA repair, in rats and mice, which are nocturnal animals, their DNA repair is terrible, because they are never exposed to sun. They don't have the pressure to develop it. And most of the research is done on DNA repair and damage induced in the rats and mice, and so how terrible it is. Oh no, our repair systems of DNA might be so fantastic. And people have done research on taking one kind of a repair system, whether DNA or RNA or protein, and comparing among various species, and they relate. It's the repair and maintenance system which determine what kind of life I will have. But they are not perfect. There is more damage happening in childhood. Oxidative damage, breaks of the thing, but body can take it. But after around essential lifespan, don't take 45 as a fixed point. It's just a range, because that's where the individual variations come. Then things happen exponentially more, and because the things which were trying to defend me or repair me or remove the damage, they are also getting, because the repair systems themselves are getting. That's why it becomes exponential. So that is the cause. It's the imperfections of nature at all levels, especially at biology. And this is where most of the studies are, because theoretically, we want to then maybe activate or stimulate our repair mechanisms, maintenance mechanisms. There, the problem is of heterogeneity. We know that the basic driver of biological aging, at biochemical terms, we all mostly agree, is the accumulation of molecular damage. That's generally used as a thing. There is no program, there's a thing, but damage is accumulating, and that. But what we don't know is how much damage does how much consequences. Like in DNA repair, there is so much studies that 8-hydroxyguanosine increases from 1 in a million in young animals to 5 in a million in old animals. 5-time increase. Okay, if I find a drug which can remove from 5 to 3, has that animal become equivalently young or active? There is no correlation. We have no idea how much damage is physiologically relevant, because biological processes are very interesting. They have the ability of compensation, adaptation, toleration, bypassing. When one thing goes wrong on the metabolic chart, another thing takes over. Yeah, you can know. So, and if we ignore this kind of complexity and we think, I can increase the telomere length. Yes, I can. Does it make me young? No. I can bring back my methylation to some part in some part of my cells, whichever is happened. Has it made me physiologically or even overall in some other way young? No. None of these things individually do that, because we are all interacted. That's where the original discussion where we start. The machine metaphor is so limited and so impractical, because machine metaphor is already designed metaphor. You change the things. Yes, they can all help. All those 259 compounds can do something. I cannot say they don't do anything. But what do you want actually to be done? That doesn't happen. Not even increasing lifespan, not even increasing health span, or whatever words we want to use. And then problem of species. There are lots of arguments how things done in model systems can never be translated into a human system because of evolutionary stable strategy arguments by Lloyd Demetrius and other. There are lots of people who have written that we are so stable species, etc. But okay, we will not go into that. So cause of aging is inbuilt into evolution, because imperfection. We can definitely tweak these imperfections to some extent if we can recognize that which imperfection is giving what level of problem and how much I need to treat it so that I can again be functionally healthy. And that's where again the definition of health will become. Yes, I have lost muscle mass. How much I should recover it, by which methods? Do I want to run a marathon or play or challenge Rafael Nadal out of retirement? What do I want to do? That is again questions of health and our needs. We should actually spend a little bit more time on that, and Hormesis will make sense in that context.
Yeah, let's do it then.
Yes.
What is health then?
What is health then? Yeah, you all know definition by the WHO. Yeah, which is used generally. Health is a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not the absence of disease. This is a totally useless definition because it changes the word health with well-being, and we have no idea what is well-being from that definition. That's why a couple of years ago, I started writing on that, and we brought a book called Explaining Health Across the Disciplines, where I had a philosopher as my co-editor, and we invited philosophers, sociologists, cardiologists, orthodontists, every kind of defining health without using the word disease. Tell me what is a healthy heart. Tell me what is a healthy mouth. Tell me what is a healthy mind. So, and that book is tremendous. It's a great book, 26 chapter. So I will just give you the summary of that, the final conclusions. So we created that, okay, we need to measure things. Because in science, the way it has developed, if we can't measure, we cannot talk about it. So what do we measure? So biomedical concept is already well developed in their activities of daily living, for example. ADL, that's a very well established marker. 10, 20, 30 things which you can measure. Activities of daily living. So the definition we created, an ideal definition was absolute physical and mental independence in the activities of daily living. Absolute physical and mental independence in activities of daily living. And this is a useless definition, just like WHO, because that is again talking about absolute and perfection. It can never be possible. As soon as I wear glasses to focus my eyesight, as soon as I wear clothes against environment, as soon as I eat, there is no such thing as absolute physical and mental independence. So what is the real definition? Practical definition is, and that's where actually just last month I wrote an article which you may or may not have read it, health span. That is called adequate physical and mental independence in activities of daily living. That is what health is for an individual. Adequate. Now that linchpin is the word adequate. What is adequate? Just like money. How much money is adequate for me? Elon Musk type of money? Or my money to go to my local food shop and get my food for the evening? Adequate is a personal, cultural, historical. Our definitions of adequate have changed. The countries which have become richer, their adequate levels of comfort is very different from the adequate level of comfort in India. If people, we talk about, oh, there are so many people. Yes, if they all live like a Danish lifestyle, we need 1/3 of the world population. So adequate health is also what is adequate for me, under what circumstances, and at what age, and what do I want to do with that health. And that is where everything is allowed to be used. In absolute definition, you cannot use even eyeglasses. But adequate one tells, use technology, use medicine. I need to use metformin to control my sugar if it's going out of control. I need to use, say, a walking stick. I need to use an ear plug. I need to use, maybe at some stage, the nappies. Why should I be ashamed of? This allows the use of every kind of technology, every kind of social relationship, every kind of human help, whereas the absolute definitions don't use that. Yeah, there you are responsible for that. And in this adequate is the role of society becomes equally important. What I want to do, is that available to me? This is not just the molecular biology of telomeres and methylation, and that's what the Singapore people are very, very intelligent. Andrea Maya talks about health from molecular level to your bedroom level. What kind of house you are, where do you live, what do you do, who are your people? These are the things which matter. So adequate is a mental attitude, and that needs education, that needs inculcation, not new pills, not more pills. Why should I be healthy today will be defined by me, not by anybody else. Whereas the health span, that title of my article is Lifespan Stops at Death. When does health span stop? And do you know the biomedical definition of health span? Because I have been talking with lots of health span stops the day you get even one disease diagnosed. When I got metformin given to me because I am now diabetic too, my health span has been 0 from medical point of view. But I am still alive 20 years later, and I might live another day. So health span is absolutely wrong term. There is no such thing as health span. Health is a flexible thing. I am trying to make an app or a scale, self-rated health. A lot of genetic research shows, which we also did on heat shock proteins, that what relates with your genotypes. People compare ApoE or this gene and longevity. And then they try to relate whether you have HSP70, this polymorphism or that. What does it? About 50 studies show that best relationship about survival and longevity comes with self-rated health. Even in the monozygotic twin studies, same age, almost similar genotype, the one who says, I am pretty healthy, I'm feeling good, and the other one says, no, I am not good. 7-year follow-up shows high difference in the survival rate. The one who is not happy with his health, not the same attitude, dies earlier. So health, the scale I have just made is called self-rated health. If you say on a scale, you are 0, you are dead. So you cannot say it. If you are say, I am 100, you are telling lies. You are kidding yourself because that's not possible. We are always somewhere in between. And that changes with or without what I do, what I feel. Yeah. When I go for a good walk, which makes me happy, and I feel much good. And on the scale, my reading changes from 40 to 60. But so in some other condition, it might be. So basically, we need to listen to the individual. I need to decide what makes me feel adequately healthy. And that will depend upon what do I want to do. Today, I needed to be healthy to be able to talk to you two intellectual thinkers with my full passion and energy, that I should not collapse. My voice should carry on. I don't want to go out and play tennis with anybody or run a marathon or do this thing. But next week, when I will meet my two grandchildren, my health definition is very different. They are going to take everything from me. Yeah. So this is a fluid concept of health, which is just like identity. We are not ever having a single identity. Our identities are multiple all the time. I'm a teacher, I'm a lover, I'm a husband, I'm a grandfather, I'm a friend, I'm an enemy, I'm this and that. No problem. Same thing about health. Our health is also very flexible. And doctors have to, or the people have to involve the individual. What do you want to do with what do you want to achieve? So that is the flexible definition of health, or what we call the pragmatic definition. Adequate physical and mental independence in activities of daily living, which allows the use of everything which can help you to do that. And I will not be in a mood to pick up on some things which will do that. Yeah, because it just depends upon, if you want to feel happy about your face, you are going in the evening and you need to put some makeup, use it, make it up. Because that's what is missing in you. It will make you feel happy and healthy in the evening. But that tomorrow, then you will need something else. So that is my that generalized philosophic and practical message.
I honestly love it. When there's one thing, me and Miguel, I'm just speaking for Miguel as well. One thing we learned throughout our episodes we've done is that everything inside medicine and health is completely individualized. It really depends on so many different factors. And you just made this point again, really, really clear. Now, as we are coming to our end, we have our rapid fire session, which means me and Miguel will answer or will ask a question. And then you only have
Hormesis. Do you want to touch on Hormesis? Anything?
It will be part of it. So
all right.
This will be part of it, but you only have 30 seconds, maximum 60 seconds to.
Oh, those are very tricky questions. Okay, we will try.
Okay, the first one is not as hard. Will anyone alive today reach 150 years old?
You are not asking when. Maybe in few hundred years, yes. There is no intrinsic problem. It's a problem of maintenance and repair. Yes. Somebody not alive today, that will not. Okay. Because alive today, born even today, that I will say no. That's too early. That's too early.
In the future, yes. Today, okay. Understood.
Okay. Then next one is talking about hormetic stressors such as heat, cold, which are very common in the biohacking field. Which one of these is your favorite and why?
Which one of these is my favorite? Well, because basically there are three nurturing hands for our health, survival health. Those all three can be fitted into hormetic way of life. The nurturing hands are, one is nutrition, food, and diet, which gives me support to health. Then my physical activity and inactivity, sleep, that's another one. And the third one in human species, social and mental engagement. These are all three things which can go into hormetic pathway also. Hormetic pathway is primarily means challenging yourself physically and mentally by stress of choice, which will definitely challenge. If you are living, your body according to your age will respond by trying to neutralize the stress, and you get benefits because those are the living processes, the homeodynamic processes. They are already there. Even a very, very old person can get benefits of exercise. Yeah. So hormetic way of life, which one? If you ask me, I should choose one, you said 30 seconds. That's again a long answer, bad habit of a university professor. For me, the hormetic stress I use in my daily life, one is about 1 hour of very relaxed walking, because which is more than basic activity of the house. And then always reading some books. every day. I'm a voracious reader. So for me, they help me hermetically also, I hope. But I enjoy them. Important part in the Hormesis is stress of choice, which gives you pleasure. Hormesis is not a bitter drug. Hormesis is choice, stress of choice. Whichever stress of choice gives you pleasure, please take it. I take walking and reading.
Makes sense. Lovely things to do. Speaking of hormesis, again, to just put this simply for everybody, why should everybody know about hormesis and should practice hormesis in their daily life?
It is just making the daily life a little bit more intense for a short while. Because whatever we are doing is still using the same pathways, it's the same metabolic pathways. But hormesis adds a little bit of extra stress, like I'm walking around in the house, but when I go out for 1 hour walk, that is just an additional thing which is not happening on a default level. So hormesis is choosing to challenge your body because our body wants to live and it has all the systems which keep me alive, and that is why it will work, and it works. The only trouble with hormesis is, as a single exposure, you can never measure in modern scientific technology any benefit or effect. One round of exercise does not do anything for me. It has to be repeated, mild, with a recovery period, and there are certain rules for hormesis, like pleasure. It must give me pleasure. It must be done in moderation, whatever, whether food or social, and there must be variety. This is the principle of hormetic way of life, which can be applied everywhere. Pleasure, moderation, and variety.
So, as a consequence, then, calorie restrictions for humans, yes or no?
Not for everybody. It's yes for these rich people, where the problem is overeating. Quite a large proportion of the world is struggling with having nutritional requirement fulfilled. So calorie restriction is only good when you have abundance and you are overdoing it.
Makes a lot of sense.
Not calorie restrictions, yes for everybody. No, 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 no. Not yes for everybody.
Makes sense. Coming to the last question, every guest has to answer. If you could change one thing about the current healthcare system, what would it be?
Educate people so that they are willing to contact some kind of health advisors, health coaches at physical and mental level. And depending upon the economic situation, those should be the systems, say, taken care by the society. Yeah, like in Denmark, there is big argument: should exercise be prescribed so that your gym fees is given? So that will be the health system. Don't make it avoidable as long as possible because we are afraid of it, but we should think in health in some positive thing, that it's very nice to be healthy, and to be healthy I need to do something, and it should not be on the basis of my resources, my money. Yeah. So that will, I would like to change the health system from disease oriented to health oriented, if it's possible. I don't know how to do it.
Suresh, thank you so much for coming on this podcast today. I'm sure our listeners enjoyed it as much as we did, listening to your incredible knowledge, wisdom, and experience. So thank you for sharing everything that you've accumulated over the past decades, leading the field of aging biology and aging research, and sharing it with us today. Thank you so much.
Let's continue to live forever.
Thank you so much. Amazing last words.